You didn't leave his life, even when he turned his back, even when he acted like it was easy to let you go, even when he pretended he was already with someone else, even when he tried by any means to erase your traces from his memory. You remained there, invisible but present, silent but inevitable, untouchable yet so perceptible. You became what his mind tries to divert from, but his heart never stopped noticing. Because there are marks that don't scream, they echo in silence. You were not just another name. You were not just another story. You were not just another phase. You were the deepest reflection of what he wanted to be, but didn't have the courage to become. You were the mirror in which he saw himself whole, and perhaps that's why he needed to break that mirror. He left, but he never managed to leave you behind. And the strangest part of all, you didn't leave him either, even when he let you go. You notice this in the small signals, on days when you feel a pinch for no reason, on nights when his name pops into your mind, with no one mentioning it, with no obvious trigger, with no concrete memory. But you know, something inside you perceives it, like a whisper in the dark, like a presence that doesn't want to go away, because he left, but the feeling remained. You can't imagine how hard he fought to forget you. He tried to distract himself, put other people in your place, created new stories, forced smiles, plans, routines, but there was always something pulling him back to what you were, even if he never said it out loud. You became a silent comparison, a secret standard, a something that no one else could be. And this is not about vanity, nor about ego. It's about real connection, the kind that can't be explained. That doesn't always get to be lived, but also doesn't die. Have you ever felt this? That sensation of being in someone, even when not being close, that feeling that never fades, as if there's an invisible thread connecting two hearts that try to move on alone, but no longer know how to be whole apart from each other. If you've ever experienced something like this, comment here. I needed to hear this, and this is where everything is revealed. You're in his heart because it was never just physical presence. You were a soulful experience. You were the kind of person who arrives slowly yet transforms everything, who teaches without imposing, who embraces without demanding, who leaves a mark without trying. He thought it would be easy to let you go. And maybe at first it was, but time has a strange way of revealing truths. And the biggest one is, time doesn't heal everything. Time only helps reveal what was real. And the more time passes, the more you grow within him, in the silences that no one hears, in the memories that no one knows, in the spaces that no one else has filled. You became part of his essence. And that doesn't fade away. He may keep denying, he may keep saying he moved on, he might even seem happy, but there's a place he returns to, every night, a place inside him, where you still reside. Can you feel that? Because he can. And even if he doesn't say it, even if he never admits it, he knows you stayed, you didn't scream, you didn't beg, you didn't insist. You simply remained, with the subtle strength of someone who doesn't need to prove anything, with the lightness of someone who knows that true love doesn't force. It just presents itself, and if it's real, it stays. What he experienced with you didn't end. It just changed form. Now it's an invisible presence, now it's a constant memory, now it's a longing camouflaged by pride. And maybe he'll never come back. Maybe he'll never say a word. Maybe he'll fight until the end to pretend he forgot. But you stayed, in the heart, in the soul, in a truth that no one sees, but that he carries every day. Some people leave our lives, but they never leave our story. Some people try to move on, but discover that the heart had already chosen where to stay. And you were that, the place where his heart remained. You don't need to do anything, not send a message, not seek an answer, because everything that needed to be felt has already been felt. Everything that needed to be noticed has already been noticed. His pain may be camouflaged, but it exists, not out of regret, but out of absence. The absence of something that no one else could replace, you. And he feels that even in silence, even when far away, even when denying it. He feels because you are still in his heart. Maybe he will never admit what he feels. Maybe he will keep living as if nothing happened, as if it was all just a phase, as if you were just a name among many. But inside, there's something that hasn't healed. It's not an open wound, it's a presence engraved. You didn't become just any memory. You became the turning point. That point in time where everything made sense, even when it seemed to collapse. And he knows. He doesn't know how to explain it, but he feels it. With that pain that comes without cause, and that emptiness that no one can fill. Have you noticed how certain people desperately try to replace what they've lost? It's as if, out of pride or fear, they need to prove they're okay, even when their heart is in pieces. He did that. He did everything to prove he was fine. He did everything to seem light, resolved, free. But the more he tried to show he was whole, the more he lost himself. Because the truth is simple. You were the only place where he felt truly seen, where the masks fell away, where the fears were embraced, where his soul was allowed to breathe. And losing that cannot be overcome with distraction, cannot be erased with new stories, cannot be deceived with new hugs. You stayed, even when he pushed you away, even when he acted as if you weren't enough, even when he chose to leave. And that says more about him than it does about you. Because sometimes, we often reject exactly what we need the most. Out of fear, out of trauma, out of feeling unprepared. You were too much love for a heart that was too wounded. You were too much truth for someone who only knew defenses. You gave too much to someone who spent their life protecting themselves from feeling. And because of this, when you came along, he didn't know what to do with all of it. He got lost the moment you found him, but now it's different. Now he lives with the absence of everything he failed to appreciate, with the silence of what he lacked the courage to confess, with the pain of letting go, of the only place where he could have been whole. And you know what hurts the most? It's that he realized too late that you weren't just a passing phase, you were the destination. But he didn't have the courage to stay, and now he lives in this limbo between longing and pride, between the desire to return and the fear of admitting he was wrong. You're still in his heart, but now as an absence, as a memory that troubles him, as a recollection that tightens, and even as time goes on and everything changes, there's something he'll carry forever, the fact that you were the love he lost by his own choice. He thought he could live without you. And maybe he can, but not in the same way he lived with you, because with you he was lighter, more genuine, more human, and this cannot be lived twice in the same way. You left your mark, not by making noise, but by making sense. You stayed, not by insistence, but by essence, and he feels it, even when he pretends to forget, even when he says he doesn't feel anything anymore, even when he repeats that life goes on. He feels it, because you still resonate in his field. You still breathe between the lines. You still echo in the emptiness that no one else notices. Do you realize this? The way his presence still touches you, even from a distance. The way thoughts sometimes converge, even without dialogue. It's not an illusion. It's a bond that hasn't broken. It's a connection that doesn't depend on physical presence. It's a feeling that survived. The absence, the silence, the time. He left thinking it was the end, but the heart didn't recognize that end. The body may have gone. The routine may have changed, but the soul remained connected. And maybe he'll never understand why. Maybe he'll spend his life trying to rationalize what he feels. Maybe he'll continue trapped in this emotional armor he created. But you know, because you sense it. You feel that there's still something unresolved, not finished, not healed. You feel it because that bond was never broken, just muffled, and he knows it too, even without words, even without gestures, even without a response. And maybe, in the deepest silence of the night, he thinks of you. Maybe sometimes he wishes to return, but doesn't know how, or worse, thinks it's already too late. But the truth is that you remained in what he feels, in what he can't feel with anyone else, in what he tries to recreate but can never reproduce. And this haunts him and comforts him at the same time. Haunts because it shows that he lost something rare. Comforts because it shows that what he had was real. You don't need to return to his life. You don't need to break the silence nor seek answers, because everything is already clear. Everything has already been felt. Everything has already been left behind. You are that part of him that he cannot replace. And even if the whole world says otherwise, even if he never comes back, even if everything seems lost, there's one thing that doesn't change. You are still in his heart. This presence doesn't depend on proximity. It is spiritual. It is palpable. It is eternal. And sometimes he feels as if you are still there, caring, hoping, feeling alongside. And the truth is that you are. Because when the feeling is real, it doesn't die. It just changes location. You are still with him, even when he wakes up in another bed, even when he lives other routines, even when he tries to convince himself that everything has changed. You're still with him, in the thoughts that arise without permission, in the songs he skips to avoid remembering, in the places he avoids to not feel. He doesn't say it, but you've become an emotional trigger, a living memory, an absence that speaks, and that's what makes it all the more painful. He knows you're no longer an option, but you still remain the reference. Because what he experienced with you was more than just a relationship. It was a revelation. It was the kind of meeting that becomes a mirror, a portal, a home. You weren't someone he met. You were someone he recognized. And when the soul recognizes, there's no unseeing. There's no unlearning what was felt. He notices this in simple gestures, in a touch that no longer has the same energy, in a gaze that finds no depth, in an "I love you" said without conviction, just to try to pretend he feels what he once felt with you. But he doesn't feel, because what you had was more than presence. It was pulse, it was harmony, it was frequency. And what hurts is that he only realized this after he lost you. He needed to distance himself to understand the strength that was there. He needed to ignore it to discover how much he felt. He had to pretend not to care, to realize that he cared far too much. You're no longer with him, but you live in everything that's missing. He searches for you in other voices, looks for your gestures in other bodies, waits for your affection in shallow connections, and everything fails, because no one else has your way of loving. You were unique, not for doing more, but for feeling more. You knew how to embrace his pain without needing to understand. You knew how to listen to the silences. You knew how to perceive what he hid from the entire world, including from himself. And now he finds himself facing a void that carries your name. Do you feel this? This sense of having been more than the other realized, of having offered everything but received crumbs. You offered a home, and he ran away out of fear of living there, but the soul, his soul remembers. And no matter how much pride tries to take control, no matter how much time tries to numb, no matter how many distractions try to erase, the feeling remains. And do you know why? Because you didn't enter his life through the door of desire. You entered through the portal of truth. You touched layers he never let anyone touch. You saw parts of him that he avoided looking at. You felt pains that didn't even have names, and that can't be forgotten. He might manage to forget the dates, the places, the conversations, but he won't be able to forget the feeling of being whole with you. Because with you, he didn't have to pretend, he didn't have to be strong all the time, he didn't have to protect himself. With you, he simply was. And when someone allows us to be, that person never truly leaves. You became that, a space where he was real, and because of that, a space he mentally returns to whenever the world demands too many masks, even if he's far away, even if he's taken another path, even if he's with someone else. You are still the deepest point of truth he has ever known. And sometimes he wonders if there's still time, if it would still be possible to return, if you still feel anything. But the fear paralyzes, the ego silences, the shame prevents. And so he pretends once again. He pretends he's moved on. He pretends he's forgotten. He pretends he's okay, but deep down he misses you with an intensity that consumes him. Because you weren't just love, you were healing. And losing that is like losing solid ground. If you feel there's still something between you, it's because there is. This kind of connection doesn't fade. It doesn't disappear. It doesn't dissolve into thin air. It just changes form. Now it exists in the subtle field, in the synchronicities, in dreams, in random thoughts. You are still with him because you never left. And this isn't about going back. It's not about waiting. It's not about insisting. It's about recognizing. Recognizing that you made a mark. Recognize that you were more than he knew how to appreciate. Acknowledge that you were indeed special. And he knows that even if he denies it, even if he hides it, even if he has moved on. You remained, in the way he never loved again, in the space that no one else occupied, in the nostalgia that turned into a scar. You remained because you were genuine. And the genuine does not dissolve. The genuine endures. He left thinking he was leaving you behind, but he only distanced himself from himself. You were the reflection of the most beautiful part of him, and that's why perhaps he couldn't bear it. Now he lives with this vivid absence, with this invisible presence, with this silent pain. And even if the world says he has moved on, you know, You realize he is still with you, and you are still with him, because some loves never end. They just stay quiet. If this touched you, the next video will resonate even more. Click here and continue with me. There's a part of this story you still need to understand.